The Senate Health Committee convened on January 25, 2025, for a confirmation hearing that few could have predicted. President Biden's nominee for Health and Human Services Secretary was none other than Robert F. Kennedy Jr., an environmental activist and vaccine skeptic. This nomination stunned many. It also signaled a willingness by the Biden administration to court controversy. Kennedy, the son of the slain Attorney General and presidential candidate, carried a famous name. However, he also brought considerable baggage to the proceedings. Kennedy's history of promoting anti-vaccine views cast a long shadow over the hearing. His past statements linking vaccines to autism have been widely debunked by the scientific community. Yet they continue to hold sway among certain segments of the population. This made his nomination all the more perplexing to many observers. The hearing was poised to be a dramatic showdown. Senators on both sides of the aisle were prepared to grill Kennedy on his controversial views. The hearing room was packed with spectators and journalists. All eyes were on Kennedy as he took his seat before the committee. The gravity of the situation was palpable. This was not just another confirmation hearing. It was a referendum on science, public health, and the very nature of truth in the age of disinformation. The stakes were incredibly high for both Kennedy and the Biden administration. A smooth confirmation would give Kennedy a powerful platform. It would also signal a tolerance for dissenting views within the Democratic Party. However, a contentious hearing could derail Kennedy's nomination. It could also damage President Biden politically. The hearing promised to be a pivotal moment. It would have lasting implications for public health policy and the future of American politics. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife as Senator Michael Bennet, the Democratic chairman of the committee, commenced the proceedings. Bennet, usually known for his measured demeanor, did not mince words. "Mr. Kennedy," he began, "your past statements on vaccines have caused serious concern among my colleagues on both sides of the aisle. Can you assure this committee and the American people that you accept the overwhelming scientific consensus on the safety and efficacy of vaccines?" Kennedy, looking uncomfortable under the senator's steely gaze, attempted to deflect the question. He reiterated his commitment to public health. However, he stopped short of explicitly disavowing his previous stance on vaccines. This did little to reassure the committee. It fueled suspicions that he still harbored doubts about the science. Senator Bernie Sanders, an independent from Vermont who caucuses with the Democrats, was unconvinced. "Mr. Kennedy," he interjected, his voice booming through the chamber, "it's not enough to simply express a vague commitment to public health. We need to hear you say unequivocally that vaccines are safe and effective. Your words have power, and they have consequences. Will you use your platform to promote accurate information about vaccines and combat the dangerous misinformation that is costing lives?" Senator Elizabeth Warren, a Democrat from Massachusetts, pressed Kennedy on his understanding of the science behind vaccines. "Mr. Kennedy," she asked, "can you explain the mechanism by which vaccines work to protect individuals and communities from infectious diseases? Can you also address the specific concerns you have raised in the past about the MMR vaccine and its alleged link to autism?" Kennedy's answers were halting and vague. He seemed unfamiliar with basic scientific concepts. This further eroded the committee's confidence in his qualifications for the position. The hearing was not without its share of drama. As Kennedy attempted to defend his record, a group of protesters interrupted the proceedings. They chanted slogans like "Vaccines save lives" and "Kennedy, shame on you." Security personnel swiftly escorted the demonstrators out of the chamber. However, their message was clear. Kennedy's nomination had struck a nerve with the American public. The interruption underscored the deep divisions that Kennedy's nomination had exposed. On one side were those who saw him as a courageous truth-teller, willing to challenge the status quo and stand up for what he believed in. On the other side were those who viewed him as a dangerous charlatan, peddling misinformation and undermining public trust in science and medicine. The hearing became a microcosm of a country increasingly polarized on issues of science, health, and government authority. The specter of the COVID-19 pandemic loomed large over the proceedings. The pandemic had highlighted the importance of public trust in science and the devastating consequences of misinformation. Kennedy's history of promoting anti-vaccine views made him an especially controversial figure. Many wondered if he was fit to lead the nation's public health agency in a time of ongoing crisis. The hearing served as a stark reminder of the fragility of public trust and the importance of clear and accurate communication from those in positions of power. Kennedy's nomination had inadvertently sparked a national conversation about the role of science in society and the dangers of unchecked misinformation. The outcome of the hearing would have far-reaching implications for the future of public health policy and the public's faith in their elected officials. While Kennedy's stance on vaccines was a major point of contention, it was not the only area where his qualifications were called into question. Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican from Louisiana and a medical doctor, grilled Kennedy on his understanding of complex health policy issues. "Mr. Kennedy," Cassidy began, "can you explain the difference between Medicare and Medicaid? Who is eligible for each program, and how are they funded?" Kennedy stumbled through his response. He confounded the two programs. He also revealed a lack of familiarity with their basic structure and financing mechanisms. This did little to inspire confidence in his ability to manage a massive and complex federal agency like the Department of Health and Human Services. Cassidy pressed further, asking Kennedy about his plans to address the rising cost of prescription drugs, combat the opioid epidemic, and improve access to mental health care. Kennedy offered vague platitudes about the need for innovation, collaboration, and increased funding. However, he failed to articulate any concrete policy proposals. Even some Republicans who were ideologically aligned with Kennedy on certain issues expressed reservations about his qualifications for the role. Senator Tom Tillis, a Republican from North Carolina, remarked, "While I appreciate Mr. Kennedy's passion for environmental issues, I am concerned that he lacks the experience and expertise necessary to effectively lead the Department of Health and Human Services. This is a complex and demanding job, and it requires someone with a deep understanding of healthcare policy and the ability to manage a large bureaucracy.